Okay, hello everyone. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2024. I just thought I would come on here. God gave me permission to come on here and do this video. This should be a short video. But just for anyone out there who, well, really for anybody, I guess, if you're traveling, if you're homeless, whether you're part of the priesthood, whether you're not, this is just for anybody this may apply to. We're going to talk about Airbnb again. So if you're not aware of how Airbnb works in terms of their review system and all that kind of thing, you stay somewhere, and when you check out, you have exactly 2 weeks. You have a 2-week time frame to leave a review for the host, or if you're the host, you have a 2-week time frame to leave a review for the guest. And you're not permitted to, you don't have access to read the review from the other party during that 2-week time frame unless you have also written a review for them. And I think during that 2-week time frame, if you want to edit your review, I think maybe you can. I'm not sure about that. I only have left one review just recently. I began staying at Airbnbs, I think, in 2022, so I've been using them on and off, for the last maybe 2 years, give or take. And I have never left a review until just recently, because God told me not to, because there were complaints I had, and unlike staying at a motel or hotel where you can go on Google or Yelp or one of those or even the hotel site itself, I guess, depending, you can warn other guests about certain issues and so forth, and that is my mentality. I have two trains of thought, because I've been living predominantly homeless now, going on almost 3 years now. My mentality is warn others of issues, and my mentality is, when possible, try to make improvements for those coming after you, okay? Because I do know that people are coming, we're in the last days, right? Everything is hitting the fan, and I know that you got just general people in need and becoming homeless and whatever, and you've also got some people that are in the priesthood, like myself, that are homeless, and I'm not the only one, and God has been showing me that. There are other, what comes to mind is there's one other prophetess that is homeless right now living in Airbnbs, but I digress. So somewhat recently, it was technically over 2 weeks ago now, I stayed somewhere, and I was there for 4 weeks. I was there for about a month. I extended my stay, and which, by the way, you can extend your stay without going formally to make a new reservation. You can just contact the hosts and they'll actually extend it, and you can discuss whether or not they're going to waive the cleaning fee, whether or not they're going to waive the pet fee that you already paid once, and so forth. Those are some tricks that I've been learning recently. But I left a review for the first time on Airbnb because I overall had a positive stay, okay? While I was there, the toaster broke. They replaced the toaster, and the shower head had a leak that was springing up towards the ceiling, and it was all, the water flow itself was very pressurized in one direction, so it was not really what a shower should be, and so they replaced the shower head, and that was very nice of them, very accommodating. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what they should do. That's what any host or landlord should be doing, is they should be taking care of things like that. I mean, if it's a landlord situation, the toaster would probably be yours, and that's your responsibility, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So I left a positive review, and I just said that they were very accommodating, and that if I need to stay there again, I definitely would. And they have a 5-star rating system, and I gave them 4 out of 5 stars. And they also gave me a positive review, so it was very nice. So They come to me, what is today, Monday? They come to me a day or two ago. I think it was yesterday. They message me through the Airbnb software, the app, the site, whatever you want to call it. And they ask, oh, why did we only get 4 out of 5 stars? Which to me, if you're truly seeking constructive feedback of just how you can improve, I understand that. That's reasonable. Most people would just kind of let that ride, and that's fine. Okay. So they come to me, what could we have done better? Okay. So I told them, I said, my standard of cleanliness is above average. That's what I've learned just in life, And I told them, I said, I'm in full-time ministry. I've been living like this almost 3 years now. I have a whole routine. When I check into a place, whether it's an Airbnb, a motel, a hotel, I bring soft scrub with bleach and my own sponge, and I scrub the bathtub. I don't want any fungus on my feet or God knows what else, bodily fluids and whatever, So I said, I scrubbed the tub, and I said the tub was particularly dirty, and it was. It was like when I was scrubbing it, the water, it was dirty. It was just like somebody, it was as if somebody bathed their muddy dog in it or something. It was just dirty. And so I said, so that's why, I didn't give you a perfect rating, and they didn't respond. And I figured, okay, maybe they're busy, and God said, just let it go, give it a couple days, okay. So all of a sudden tonight, I get this notification through Airbnb that, they can't receive messages anymore, which basically means that they blocked me. And I just find this, is astounding the right word? Astounding. And then I found that, so they tried to retaliate by, so the only thing you can do after that 2-week time frame is over, where you can write your review or maybe even edit it. And once that time frame is over, which it is over for this particular case, the only thing you can do is respond to the other party's review of you. So they responded on their profile to my positive review of them, just bad-mouthing me, which no future host is really going to see that unless they really go out of their way to try to look up every place I've ever stayed and da-da-da-da. And I've only left one review. So, but I'm just astounded at the unreasonableness, the wickedness. They came to me, went out of their way to ask me for feedback as to why I didn't give them a perfect review, a perfect rating of 5 out of 5 stars, only a 4 out of 5 stars. I gave them my honest answer, and I get retaliation. And overall, what I have learned in general, whether it's a landlord, whether it's an Airbnb host, is people just want their money. People are so wicked, and we're it's become so normal in our generation. People don't realize how things used to be and how things should be. People don't realize where the plumb line actually is, where it should be, in terms of what is reasonable, what is righteous. I mean, especially if we're going to call ourselves Christians, but I know Airbnb is not, Christian, but I'm just astounded. I gave them a 4 out of 5 review. That's a good review. That's a good review. They came to me, they asked me for feedback. What could we have done better? How can we improve? What can we do better next time? Which is good. It's a positive thing to do, to ask for feedback like that so you can improve. I appreciated that. I respected that. I gave them the feedback. And I said, I don't know what happened. All I know is that when I scrubbed the tub, it was really dirty. It seemed like somebody washed their dirty dog or something in there. I don't know. And what do I get? I get retaliation. So now, if I am in that area, apparently I presume I can't stay there again. And that's what's amazing. That's what's really, really amazing to me, is I told them that I'm in ministry. I told them that I live like this, okay? And they would rather chop their own nose off to spite their face. They would rather, and I told, in my review, what I said about them is that I would definitely stay there again, if need be, if I'm in the area. They would rather deny themselves that business, deny themselves that revenue, that profit, instead of just humbling themselves and saying, oh, we're really sorry that the bathtub was dirty. Now we know for next time to really, check that, make sure it's clean for people, and move on with their lives. No, they retaliate, they block me, they create animosity out of thin air, which is so unreasonable. And this is the world that we live in today. This is how people are. They're just wicked. People would rather spite others, spite themselves to spite others, to retaliate, to seek vengeance, rather than just humble themselves and say, okay, that's a fair point. That was a flaw. That was a mistake. That's an area for improvement, which is what they came to me and asked for. How can we improve? So just be discerning, okay? Just be discerning. This was the place that, out of all the Airbnbs that I stayed at, it was overall a really good experience. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I've never left a review. Do you want me to leave a review? Because thus far, he had always told me, no, don't leave any reviews. And the reason being for that is that, on Airbnb, your reviews, any future prospective hosts, they can go look on your profile on Airbnb and read the reviews that people have given you, and so you, and if they want to drill down and poke around, they could go to each place that you've been to and see if you're giving negative reviews of hosts. And so God has always told me, because basically if I was going to give reviews to pretty much most of these Airbnbs, I would have, stated their area for improvement, and so God had told me, don't put any reviews. And I asked him this time, I said, do you want me to put a review because it was overall a good experience? And he said to me, no, I do not want you to. And I said, okay, am I allowed to? There's God's perfect will and his permissive will. The here just came on, so I guess I got to talk louder. And yes, I know we want to be in God's perfect will, but sometimes I do opt for his permissive will, and sometimes I think God gives me his permission sometimes so I can learn a lesson and gain a little bit more wisdom so that I can then share it with others. But he said, no, I don't particularly want you to do this, but yes, you have my permission to do it. So, I left the review. And this is what I get for it. So, I just want to share this experience so that you are aware. If you're in need, if you become homeless, or if God has called you into full-time ministry and you're living like I am and some other officers are, just be aware of this. Be discerning. Always ask the Lord before you do anything. Confer with him on everything. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be given unto you. Lean not on your own understanding, but seek him, and he will correct your paths, right? Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will correct your paths, okay? And really be discerning. Every person that you interact with, you should be praying and asking the Lord, okay, Lord, what do you say about this person, about this situation, Holy Spirit, give me the words. These days, it's like people are looking for a fight. They're just going out of their way to try to create situations that are unnecessary so that they can create animosity, so that they can create enemies. It's not them, it's the evil spirits, but everybody's got evil spirits influencing. And this is the world that we live in, and I just thought I would share this. Just be careful. So what have I learned from this? I have learned, don't post reviews, or if I am going to post even a positive review, if the host comes back to me and says, oh, you only gave me 4 out of 5 stars, what can I do better next time? maybe I won't give them any more feedback and just say, I would rather we just leave it at that, or, whatever. And really, let's go back to the first lesson of, I'm not going to leave a review anymore because I don't need all the nonsense. I don't need the drama. Will bait you and trap you into a conversation that on the surface it seems harmless, and they're just waiting to bite you, So now I can't stay there again, and now they've robbed themselves of my future business possibly. And I'm in this region of the country. I might have stayed there again. I believe God's going to be having me go through that area maybe in a few months, and I probably would have stayed there, and now I can't, and now they've robbed themselves of that business. I stayed there for 4 weeks straight, a whole month straight. That's pretty good money for them, and they just robbed themselves of it because they couldn't just humble themselves, refuse to just humble themselves and just say, I'm sorry, the bathtub was dirty. We'll make sure it's, we'll double check that moving forward for future guests. And let it be that, So, any other points, good points? The place that I just stayed at, the place that I just checked out of, that woman did not want any feedback. She did not appreciate any feedback whatsoever about anything. And I mentioned this in a recent video, but actually it was that recent video I did talking about how the beasts of the earth. It was funny, that day after I recorded that video, I saw a groundhog in the backyard, and I saw a mother fox and her baby foxes a pretty close distance to the house. And like I said, I had heard the animals sniffing up at the back door, and I told this woman, you've got wild animals coming out of the woods. It might be a good idea, you might want to consider. I'm just informing you that there's some wild animals. I'm hearing them, I'm seeing them, And when I made the suggestion that she might want to consider putting a fence in the backyard to keep the wild animals away from guests, and herself maybe, her response was to tell me that I can leave if I'd like, and that she would give me a full refund. Basically, get out, And I was like, no thank you, I'll keep my reservation, So people just don't seem to appreciate people looking out for each other. I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, she could have a future guest, because she was even telling me how she had some guests, like a whole bunch of dudes, and she had just put this patio furniture out in the backyard. And, what do people do? They sit out in the back patio, especially with the warm weather coming. And that's what I said to her, especially with the warm weather coming. You're going to have people sitting out in the backyard at nighttime, getting drunk, whatever. And she barely has any light out there. The light that she had in the backyard was like a night light. It was barely anything. And you could have animals creeping up and biting people and whatever, And she could get sued for all I know. I don't know how that works with Airbnb. I don't know if they would have to sue Airbnb or the host or both or whatever. But I said, I'm just looking out for you. I don't want someone to get hurt. I don't want you to get sued. I look out for people. That's how my mother brought me up. I grew up out in the woods. We were country, and even back then, people didn't seem to appreciate it all that much. But that's how it used to be, go back a century or two, people used to look out for each other, Nowadays, if you look out for somebody and give a suggestion or a recommendation, people get so defensive and retaliate. So I just thought I would share this. If it's insightful to anybody, if it's edifying to anybody, just be careful what you're saying to who. Ask the Lord. And sometimes, sometimes God will have you say things intentionally because he's testing that person. He's testing them to see, okay, what's going to come out of them? Out of the abundance of the heart overflows the mouth. Is vitriol going to come out of them? Or is humility going to come out of them? And I know he does that with me because I am part of the two witnesses. That's what he's told me. And there's that verse in Jeremiah that I read on here recently. I have made you an assayer, a tester, someone who tests to get proof of things, So just make sure you're discussing everything with God first. Be discerning. make sure you're sizing people up to see their personality and all. And, bottom line, there's no way for you to know completely, but just try to operate in wisdom. Always ask Holy Spirit what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say. But yeah, just people are just becoming so wicked, so unappreciative. God actually told me to intentionally tell that woman yesterday before I checked out this morning that, shortly after I arrived, the bathroom drain was clogged in the bathtub, and that I spent my own money and went and bought a thing of, hair declogger or whatever. And I said, and God told me to make sure to tell her this because he was basically telling me that it was going to be a way of like testing her. So I told her that. And he also told me to make sure to tell her that I would not be leaving any review because she had made a comment like, oh, you seem to have a lot of problems or whatever. And so I just wanted her to know I'm not leaving any review. I don't want her to think that I'm going to leave a negative review. So he made sure to tell me to tell her that, but also inform her that I did spend my own money. You think she would apologize that the drain was clogged and or say thank you for spending my own money and or offer me the $5 to reimburse me? No. This is how people are these days. People only think about themselves. People are greedy. And these Airbnb hosts and landlords in general, is my observation, they don't care about fellow human beings. They just want their money. That's it. So if you weren't aware, now you're aware. But I just thought I would share, that rhymes. This is the climate of the human race. People are just becoming more and more wicked. The love of many has waxed cold, etc., etc. It's all in scripture. This is what we're living in. And even though I know this all intellectually, and I'm not intellectually surprised, my heart is still surprised. My heart is still astounded and appalled and amazed at how people are behaving. It's just amazing to me. It really, really is. I'm constantly venting to God of like, I gave them 4 out of 5 stars. And this is what I get. Like, just amazing to me. So, just thought I would share. I bless you all in the name of Yeshua, the Christ of Nazareth.